Welcome to this look at a new map on Farming Simulator 19 with me, MrSealyp. This is Bantikow. This is a new map out. This was a cheeky upload on Saturday. This is by Puma 145 and TLS Modding. It's 273.93 megabytes to download. This is a conversion over from FS15 to FS19. So technically, not technically, it is new to console because we didn't have mods on FS15. This has got custom crops. It's got triticale and rye added in, which are pretty much standard cereal crops, so using regular headers and seeders and stuff to plant. Contracts are available. Where do we start on the map? Well, this is the map. Unlike a lot of Polish, now I'm saying Polish, I think it's Polish, although when you go around a lot of the buildings and things, it's in German. I was almost sure it's Polish, but anyway, the fields are fairly large sizes. As far as what you start with, on New Farmer, you start with field 6, field 12, this whole area here, around which is considered the main farm. This is where all the start machineries and the sleep triggers in. And the sleep trigger is not fixed, you can sell that. But I think the cheapest field might be this one down here, field 2, at 205,000. So not that cheap, and they kind of go up from there. And like I said, fairly large size fields for a Polish map, if it is indeed a Polish map. I'm pretty sure it is. We do have a biogas plant. Biogas plant is just here. That is 87,300 to buy. And that is fairly standard. It pays 450 for silage and 450 for manure, so a little bit of an elevated price compared to standard, which is normally around 360. So here at the main yard, as we spin round, the trigger is just here, and as you can see, it looks like this. So that is movable, sellable, whatever you want to do with it. And it does have a feel to it when you go around. There's a few different farmyards with the animals spread out around the map, like a very industrial farming situation, in the fact there's lots of buildings that look like farm offices rather than houses and homes, you know. Lots of storage space, barn and building space as we go around all the different areas. But you also start with quite a bit of machinery. We'll open the 3 doors here because you start with 3 tractors tucked in there. There's a load of machinery over there, we'll get to in a minute. There's a load around the back there. Now, you don't have any animals here at the start farm. We will get back to, yeah, we'll come and grab one of those tractors in just a moment. So, load of start machinery across the front here. You start with 2 harvesters as well, which is crazy, really, when you think about it. Silage clamps just here. There's a few of the silage clamps knocking around at the various different farms and sort of randomly around the map as well. As we come around here, we've got a modded silo. So as far as mods go, the map maker is included. There is the sleep trigger, and there's this silo set here, which is something a bit different. Now, you may have already noticed the shadows are quite dark, not really badly so. There have been some maps where it's really, really dark. Fairly dark, not horrendous, is what I would say. So what we'll do is head up, have a look at where the rest of the machinery and gear is. Now, it doesn't say on the website, or on the description anywhere, it doesn't say if it's seasons ready or precision farming, like it hasn't got a custom soil map. So we'll have a standard default giant soil map. But like I say, it doesn't say is seasons ready. It doesn't say it's not, but it just doesn't say it is either. So worth bearing in mind. All of these buildings, I say all these buildings, most of these buildings are accessible. So like I said, no shortage of space. Big old hayloft up above this one here as well. Grass equipment, front loader. I think we've got a weeder as well. With sort of loading bays here as well. These aren't silage clamps, but a ramp up the side there, and these kind of bays here, I guess for loading if you want to load stuff in. What we got? Oh yeah, there was something I want to show as well. This was one of those things I thought, oh, imagine if that was a mod. That's really cool. It's not. It's just put in place here. But it's a mobile kind of auger belt loading way station type thing. So you drive up onto it, tip onto there, and that loads up onto whatever you're going to load it onto, but it's on wheels. How cool would that be as a mod? I mean, it's very wide. I'm not quite sure how you'd move it around on some of the smaller maps, but yeah, that's rather cool. And then we kind of come back round into this yard. Was there more around here? There was, wasn't there? Yeah. Oh yeah, all across here. There we go. It's all in here. Seeders. I think we seem to have 2 ploughs, 2 seeders, 2 cultivators, 2 harvesters, 3 tractors. I mean, like I say, there's a lot. So now is probably a good time when we go and grab the tractor. We're going to whiz around the map, have a look at the sell points. We're going to talk about slot count. And there's a bit of a warning, I guess, a warning to come with that. So if we go to... No. There we go. 658 slots used out of 1,299 on New Farmer. We start with the 3 tractors, as I've already said. One of them being a John Deere, which is usually quite heavy on the slot count. We've got a Case 9240, a Rosselmash RSM 161, telehandler, 3 trailers, headers for the 2 harvesters, 2 ploughs, 2 cultivators, 2 seeders, fertiliser and herbicide sprayer with a tank to go with it, fertiliser spreader. We've got a weeder, we've got grass equipment, mower, tedder, windrower, baler, bale trailer, front loader gear, the grain silo, and the farmhouse. So all in 658. Now, if you come onto here on on Farm Manager or Start from Scratch, that slot count drops down from 658 to 640. You start with all the same equipment, you just don't have the silo. Now that silo says +3, and I thought that seems a bit weird. There's another reason for that. If we go onto the map again, as we look around the map, you'll see here we've got sheep there, we've got cows here, we've got chickens further down, for chickens there, and we've got pigs down here. If you come onto on Farm Manager and Start from Scratch, those icons aren't showing on the map. So I then thought, okay, well maybe then on those 2 modes you've got to buy these plots to have them. Even buying those plots, those triggers don't come back up again. So the difference between the 2, New Farmer and Farm Manager and Start from Scratch, is that you lose the picking or the animal enclosures. They are all fixed in place, but you then lose access to them. So my advice would be, come on here on New Farmer. You know, you can set all your stuff. You can still do a Start from Scratch Let's Play. You know, with the various different mods and stuff available, you can put more money in to do whatever you want to do. But you really do risk losing all those animal pens. Now I know you could place other animal pens around the map, but it's just a warning, just to be aware of. Those triggers for those pens won't be there on Farm Manager or Start from Scratch, or at least they're not on mine. Let's just put it that way as well, because I'm sure someone will comment and say, well, they've got them on theirs and it's not a problem. If that's the case, fantastic. I am very happy for you. So, if you want to, and you want to sell all that start equipment, or sell half of it, because you've got 2 harvesters, you've got 2 seeders, you've got 2 ploughs, you can sell everything, and the slot count comes down from 658 to 372. That's mad. And incredibly workable. In all honesty, 658 is more than workable. But getting that down to 372 is bonkers. So quite a big farm area to start off with. We are heading west, and we're going to do a kind of a strange route round, taking in all the points we can. Now, as far as I can tell as well, I was going to say it when I got to each one, but in all honesty, they're all the same. All of the animal pens that we will come to all take 500 animals, all of them. So I won't need to say it every single time, but they all do 500. So as we come up here to the first point, this is the sheep pen area. Now, like I say, Farm Manager Start from Scratch. These markings are not here on the ground. The dialog box doesn't come up even when you buy the land, so just like I said, be wary. So like I said, 500 for all the animals. We've got a wool point around the corner there. We've got feed trough and water trough. Feed trough is here, water trough is just around the corner, around there, and we've got a line point here. I think actually the map is quite line point heavy, I'm sure there's line points. Hang on, where was the water? Oh, water troughs right there. I'm pretty sure all the farms have got a lime point, and there's a couple knocking around the map in addition to as well, so no shortage of lime. from here then. We're going to continue north. Now, I couldn't find a workshop trigger at the main farm. Again, that's not to say there isn't one, I just didn't find one. It could be in one of the barns and buildings, there's one tucked away somewhere, but I didn't come across one. I did have a bit of a look. As we come up to here, we come to the main store, machinery store, and the workshop for the machinery store is here at the front. Yeah, see, that's... maybe it's German then. LPG, forced, because that's forest, isn't it? BANTIKOW. Maybe it's German then. So, workshop trigger is just there. Need to open the gate, that would be a great idea. So that workshop trigger should be repair, customise the sell point as well. Cash point just there, buy point just over here. This is also the reset point, so any issues, any problems, if your vehicle needs to be reset or you just want to reset vehicles, they will reset here back at the store. I'm going to go across the grass at the top here, because otherwise it means going all the way back down to the road that we came off of and all the way back out again. This will be a quicker route across. So we'll go across the grass fields here. Now there is a sawmill which we're going to get to later on. As you can see, the map edge is kind of pretty well disguised. There is forestry around the edges of the map, and there's a little bit here and there within the map, not massively so. There's not a forest per se, but there is a bit of forestry to do if you want to do a little bit. I know some people stay well clear of it, but there is a bit if you want to. Next up, we've got the dairy station for all your milk needs. I like it. Yeah, I like the fact that as well, when you go around a lot of these maps, a lot of the Polish ones too, like I say, I'm probably wrong now. I'll probably find this is a German map. There's your milk sell point just there. That all of these sell points and stuff aren't your usual. That kind of plonk down. Look, here's a sell point. Here's a dairy. And it's kind of a very generic building. They all seem, fairly custom and made for the map. I'm also saying the Polish thing as well, because the concrete bits like this, I don't know. I suppose it could be East Germany, I guess. I'm just thinking it's a very communist, maybe that's the wrong way of putting it, but you know what I mean, that communist era, those big sort of farming, hang on, I've gone the wrong way, haven't I? Yep. Sort of farming conglomerates, like for the people, that kind of, not conglomerate, but for the people type sort of things. And a lot of the Polish maps have these concrete slabs. I know it's not specific just to, I know you can get them all over the place, but I'm going to stop talking now because that's, I'm digging myself a bigger hole. There is a road up the top here. I meant to turn. There we go. Here it is. So, across the top. I mean, like I said earlier about the shadows. I think the lighting, for me personally, I think it is spot on. The lighting seems to be right. The colour palette works. It's not heavily washed out, but it's not overly bright. I think another thing is one of those things you don't notice until it's mentioned. There doesn't seem to be that massive abundance of flowers. Sometimes on some maps you get loads of flowers everywhere. There's not these massive splashes of pinks and reds and stuff around all the edges. Yeah, there's something that's just suddenly struck me. It's not really talking about the sort of colour palette and that kind of thing. It's not a lot of bright colours everywhere. So, cow farm. Large silage camp just here. Loads of barn and building space. Let's go around here. I think that's the slurry point. That's not the fuel point. And I think the manure pit is just there. If we come across to here and hop out. Please open. There we go. Our dialogue box for the cows is just here, and this again 500. Now with this one, I think the triggers in here, if there are indeed triggers in here, yeah, in the middle, is for your bedding. Now it could be that it will take some feed in here. I only say that because when we come across here, we've got these gates shut across the road, and when you buy this farm, it comes with all that section there, but this field as well, which is obviously the pasture for the cows. In this pasture, we've got a feed trough and a water trough in the field. So having them both out here in the field, I would guess that the bedding is going to be up there, because obviously you don't put bedding out in the field. It's going to be up in here, and there are triggers within both buildings, I think. You've got this one here, and I'm pretty sure there's a trigger in this one as well. Yeah. Just in there. So very large buildings. But going out to that pasture, if we go to the map, that's what you would buy. 412,000 gives you all of that, including that big pasture, which is very nice indeed. Go through here. Let's close that back off again. Right, from there we go. We're going to continue our march east. We're coming up on the biogas plant. One thing that is missing, again it's kind of glaring in its absence, is none of the doors on the buildings have got any sound effects to them. I noticed when I checked out a couple of the sheds to start off with, I haven't got any sound effects. Two size clamps just here. Cell point for the biogas plant is just there, and it's at ground level. And your digestate pipe for your byproducts is over there. Everything you need for your biogas plant. Like I say, 87 grand, not too bad. We've been on plenty of maps, so the biogas plant costs an absolute fortune. Next up, we've got chickens. So I think it is a custom grass texture as well, because you've got these little white-headed flowers. It's a couple of maps recently we've had that on. So it's not just your standard grass. You've got these like little white flowers and stuff in amongst the grass. I like that. But across the way here, we've got chickens. Dialogue box is just there. We've got a feed trough just there, and egg boxes spawn just here. Well, actually, I didn't mean to show you as well. I said about them, but yeah, the mods that the map makers put in. The grain silo is 100,000 litres. Does your regular crop types, but obviously it's got triticale and rhino as well. 62,000 for that one, which you've got at the main farm, and then the farmhouse trigger is only 50. So if you do want to place, remove the one that's there and place another one somewhere else, it's only 50 for placing that one. But as with a lot of these things, there are loads of different ones in the mods hub. So if you don't want to use that one and you want to use something more specific, you want to use, I don't have the boots ones available separate, but the door mats and deck chairs, all the various different things, you absolutely can. Now we're going to turn down here. We've got a cluster of sell points just to our left. Now some of the sell points and places we're going to have a blue gate, then they have a gate that's got a no entry sign, which is I suppose your entrance and your exit. There's been a couple as I was going around that both gates have got no entry on, which baffled me. But It doesn't really matter. You can open whichever ones you want. Of course you can. So we have got right here, where have I got to on my list? This is grain industry. So the grain industry sale point is just here. We will go back to the map so we can see where we've been. And then when we swing around here, there's a fuel point just there. And we've got two sell points in here. We've got the spinnery and the barn sell point. So spinnery is the first one, just there. Barn is the second. We can back out to the side. Tucked away very neatly. So back to the map. From the main farm, out to the sheep and lime station, shop and workshop, across the top to the dairy station, then out there and down to the cows, down to the biogas plant, from the biogas plant out to the chickens, then grain industry, spinnery, barn with the fuel point just there. Now we're going to head across this grass field because we want to head south, yes. I'm sure it's south is where we want to be going next. There's a bit of a bump here. Don't really want to get airborne. Now it does say there is water free in the rivers, so if you don't want to place a water point in the various different rivers and bits everywhere, the water is free. Nice and open as well. Not hemmed in with hedges and fences and stuff like that. So, I mean, once you're off the main roads, I guess with the vehicles, you could get away with sort of fairly large machinery on this one too. And with the tree devourer and various different things, mulches and things, you can remove plenty of trees fairly quickly now with the various different mods. That is the scary thing, thinking about moving forward. As the release of FS22 is rapidly approaching, everything resets, doesn't it? All of these mods, all these things, you kind of over the last, it's been 3 years, and that's another kind of scary statistic, is that the new game comes out and then you start playing and think, oh, I need this mod, or oh, I've got so used to using that mod, and it takes a while for these mods to then filter back out again. So yeah, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? Saying about using the tree devourer. Use it while you can. Next up, we've got the pig farm. Now I think this might be one of the ones I was talking about. That gate's got a no entry thing on it. I think it's no entry, and I'm pretty sure the other one has too. Maybe it's just no entry to unauthorised people, potentially. Which again makes me feel it's a little bit more kind of industrialised, a little bit more commercial than it is just a general farm, I think. So, where was the dollar box? So for the pigs here, again 500. Dialogue box is just inside here for your pigs. So for unloading or buying or selling directly, you can do it there, or loading and unloading. As we come around, we have got our feed trigger, we've got our water trigger just there. We've got another silage clamp. There are a few, like I say, there are quite a few of these around the map. There you go. Fuel level chaff and compacting, which you don't often have at the pigs. Manure point there and slurry point just here. Now, as far as bedding goes, it always seems to be the one that's a little bit harder to isolate. Not all the maps it's glaringly obvious. With feed and water, the troughs are normally a pretty good indication. Generally speaking, inside the buildings is where your straw would go. Not always, but there doesn't seem to be another trigger further through in here. Just potentially it's in here. Let's close that. So that's your pigs, and there's a line point here as well. We've passed at the way in, didn't we? Line point just there. So from here we are going further east again. The next sell point is purchase of root crops. Now the purchase of root crops also comes with a warning. Now it could be an issue with the sell point menu, but it could be that it has been missed off. It'll make more sense in just a second when we get there. So this is sale of root crops. This is another one where the sell point is inside the building. It's just in here. But if we go into this menu and we scroll across looking for our root crops, so we're at purchase of root crops just there. So we scroll across, well, we're scrolling across. We get to potatoes, but sugar beet, there's no price. And there's no price for sugar beet at any of the sell points, which is a bit of a worry. Potentially, it could be that you can sell them, there's just not a price showing, or it could be the other way around in that it hasn't been put in on the XML files and then obviously ported over to console, so it could be that it won't allow you to sell them and it may need an update. But just, again, something to be aware of, it's not showing a price there for sugar beet, and this is the root crop sell point, so it's the place you would expect to. You know, so I did wonder, maybe there's a separate one for sugar beet, but it's not showing a price anywhere on there or any of the sell points for sugar beet. So again, just something to be aware of. Now, we are going to go from here, we're going to head west, back in. No, that's what I was saying actually about the water points at the rivers. Free water, so you can back down and... But again, there are loads of mods for water, whether it be fountains, wells, standpipes, whatever it is, there's plenty about. So from here we're going to go from the east right over to the west. We're going to go to the Sawmill, so we're going to go across the bottom of the map, which is just there, the other side of that field. There are some bridges in some of the fields here across the rivers, which we'll get to in just a minute. So I'm going to kind of cut across the fields again, otherwise it means going all the way back up to the main farm, across the top, going back down again. So I'm going to try and kind of cut across as the crow flies. So if you look down the bottom of the mini-map, you'll see we're coming up on a cluster of little bridges. There's this little sort of watercourse river section down here. I'm just skirting around the edges, trying to avoid hitting the trees and the crops and stuff at the same time. Which bridge do I want? We could do this one or the next one. There is another line point just north of here. Just in a little barn to the side, but if we carry along here into the next bridge... That shall cut straight across. It'll be a little bit quicker, and then across this one we can then head across this one. It's got no crops in it, and the sawmill's just there, so we come right up across the bottom of the map. It's a small thing, but I think having those bridges there makes a big difference. Now, if there's lots of crops in the field, you can skirt around the edges. There's a little bit of a border, there's a little bit of a grass boundary, so you can. But going back to the map screen, if you look at where we came down here along to the lime station and pigs, then out to the purchase of root crops, when you come back, with this river here especially, if these bridges weren't put in place by the map maker, it would be having to come all the way back up, all the way across there, then all the way back down again. Now, that's not a major problem, but I know, you know, for some people, and I do the same thing when I'm doing Let's Plays, when you're trying to whiz backwards and forwards across the map to get certain things done, just having those there, it just makes life a little bit easier. So it's a, you know, it's a small thing, but it's a nice addition to have. Sawmill is just here with your wood chip sell point in there, and your lumber sell point just here. So out onto the main road, and then we're going to head north up the western side of the map. The last few sell points. It's fairly flat, as you've seen across the whole map. I mean, not really any undulations at all. It's not. There's a little, you know, a little bit of rise and fall, but nothing major. It's not certainly not hilly. Not what you would call a hilly map. On the right, then coming up, we've got another line point just there, and just in front of the door of the shop there is your egg sale point. So egg sales is just there. Then we come to, yes, here, Livestock Market. I don't know why, it always bothers me when you have the livestock markets and it's like that when you've got that. You know, okay then. It makes you feel like you need to buy them all. Buy everything. If I don't buy everything, I dread to think what's going to happen. So that's your animal dealer. That's going to be slightly trickier if you're doing a lot of animals and you've got longer trailers, especially if you're using articulated lorries, that kind of thing. There's a bit of room, but it might be a little bit tight. Again, just something to bear in mind. And then back out. And the last of the sell points is the village grain elevator, which is... oh, just past it. Let's put in here. So I'm sure that says butcher. I'm sure that's butcher, isn't it? But I'm sure that's German. Village grain elevator sell point is just in here. So all the way across the bridges to the sawmill. Then north, lime station, egg sale, animal dealer, village grain elevator. If we head back up and then go across, we come back to the main farm the way we came out. Or you can come and take this little loop round past the lake. Here we've got, actually we'll drive that way. And then we can come back into the main farm from the bottom. There's a big gap in the fence there, and I think there's a little road that leads in there as well. And that's the map in essence. But I will take you just past on that route because there are another couple of silage clamps, just out there, available to use. Now I have no frame of reference of the previous version of this on FS15. So if you're a PC guy, you may well have played the previous version of this on FS15. I don't know how well the conversion has gone from one to the other, but obviously you're bearing in mind you're taking all the features for FS19 and putting them on a map that never used to have them. So I suppose it has to be an improvement, whichever way you look at it. So swinging down past the lake, the main farm we started at is just there. On the right hand side here, as I mentioned, we've got two large silage clamps just fenced in if you want to use them. And so that's another one as well. I like that. That's a great, it looks like beehives on a trailer. So mobile beehives. I know that happens quite a lot. There's a lot of breweries and stuff that do it. One of the breweries, where is it? They make a heather beer, and they bring out beehives to pollinate everything, and and they do the same with the honey because the honey then has a flavour. I think anyway. So we go into the bottom of the. Doing my usual, just waffling. Big gap in the fence here, so we can back up into the main farm from the bottom, and that's the map. That's Bantikow. No, I'm saying Bantikow because I thought it was Polish, but it could be Bantikow. Bantikow. If it's German. But that's it. That's the map. That's by Puma 145 and TLS Modding. I hope you found this useful and informative in some way, shape or form. If you have, please give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest, whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.